So the master of free speech known as Steve Shives has come out with this brilliant video. 5 misunderstood things about free speech.
For such a cherished human right, there sure are a lot of us who don't understand it.
I can't get over that. Did you see the look on his face at the end of that? He thinks others are the ones who don't understand free speech. Just look at the smug look on his face here. This is the face of someone who thinks they know everything. And the punchline is that he doesn't know anything. He doesn't have the slightest clue as to what free speech even is.
So here are 5 misunderstood things about free speech. Number 1, free speech is more than the First Amendment.
Are you serious, Steve? Free speech is more than the First Amendment? That's all you've got? You made up a list of 5 things people commonly misunderstand about free speech, and you instantly open with a straw man? As if other countries in the world simply don't factor into the mind of an American? And well, let's face it, they really don't. But do you expect people to take you seriously when you start a video off like this? Oh man, we're not even 20 seconds into Steve's video, and he has already said something that nobody, except the most ignorant people, would think.
We Americans tend to treat the concept of free speech as synonymous with the First Amendment to our Constitution.
Well, technically yes, Steve, that is correct. But it also covers many other things. The First Amendment is what guarantees the right of freedom of speech to Americans, not everyone. Separate countries make up their own laws about this kind of thing. Also, did you notice the little occupation he had listed next to his name? Regressive neo-Puritan fascist something or other? Yep, that pretty much sums it up perfectly.
Which states that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. I myself, when discussing this issue, have often pointed out that the First Amendment defines the relationship between citizens and their government, not citizens and each other.
Oh, I'm sure you do. You love pointing that out, don't you? You love pointing out that you're allowed to silence all opposing views.
But the concept of free speech is much broader than the First Amendment to the Constitution of my country. And, just as importantly, it's much more complex than the I should get to say whatever I want principle that is promoted by certain people on the internet.
Yes, Steve, people should be allowed to say whatever they want. If they incite violence, then they should be prosecuted for that. But anything short of incitement is fine. You could call me any name in the book. I wouldn't care. But if you're going to say whatever you want, then you must also apply that principle universally. People like Sargon of Akkad or Atheism is Unstoppable understand this concept. They can talk all day, but despite disagreeing with you, they do not wish to silence you.
Number 2, it's not speech without consequence. Respecting free speech doesn't mean that there can't be negative consequences for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. If I'm making racist or misogynistic comments online and my boss finds out about it and fires my ass, that doesn't mean that my boss doesn't respect free speech. If someone else sees me making bigoted comments and calls me out on it, that doesn't mean that they don't respect free speech. Respecting disagreement is a crucial part of the concept of free speech, but
oh, you know he's going to follow that with a but. He was almost there. He was right on the money. Disagreements will happen, and you must understand that your statements are not the immutable word that is above disagreement.
But respecting disagreement doesn't mean respecting every disagreeing opinion, no matter how ignorant or toxic that opinion.
Respecting disagreements and respecting the opinion of those you disagree with are not the same thing. If you were to say that Islam is a religion of peace, and I were to show you some Pew polls showing the general opinions within the Muslim world and how not peaceful they are, you may not respect that, but you do have to accept and understand that disagreements are going to come about when you make a claim. You could make a claim about anything, and someone will disagree with you.
Bigots with poor judgment are not a protected class.
Bigot. Throwing around your second favorite buzzword, Steve. Was wondering when you would pull that one out.
And there is no moral or legal principle requiring anyone else to put up with it.
Of course you don't have to put up with it. But there's a difference between not listening to someone's opinion and blocking hundreds of thousands to silence any and all possible disagreements. Your inane rambling trying desperately to get people on your side is not working. The thing is, Steve, is that free speech means that we can say whatever we want. You don't have to listen, but that doesn't have anything to do with speech. You do not have the right to not be offended. If your ears hear me say something that you don't like, it is not some reason for you to go off on a rant about how free speech doesn't mean that you don't have to listen. We know that.
Number 3, it doesn't guarantee you a platform. Respecting free speech also means respecting the rights of others to moderate their own spaces.
Yes, people who have a platform that they control can silence people they don't agree with. And when people disagree with that decision, they can also silence them as well. It makes you a close-minded person, but I don't object to a moderator making a space for their own opinions. Have fun in your echo chamber, Steve. Let's just get on to the next point.
Number 4, it doesn't entitle you to be a bully.
Am I the bully for saying what I want and criticizing what you are saying? Or are you the bully for asserting your opinion and refusing to give any ground in order for a discussion to happen? The lack of self-awareness is just astonishing.
Sometimes the noble concept of free speech is invoked for the most petty reasons imaginable. I've seen people assert their freedom of speech after offending someone with an insult.
You do not have the right to not be offended. A person can say whatever they want, and when you get offended, you can tell them, but they don't have to listen, just like you don't have to listen.
I've seen people assert their freedom of speech after it became clear that what they were saying was obviously hurtful to the person they were saying it to.
Once again, that is an irrelevant point. Your feelings do not take precedent over the freedom to say whatever you want. Being offended is not an argument.
Number 5, it doesn't obligate others to listen to you.
Okay, that's it. We already went over this point. You go on to give a retarded example of what you think would happen if someone were obligated to listen.
It would be socially acceptable for anyone to interrupt anyone else and begin an interaction without the other person's consent that they would then be obliged to continue until the person who started it was satisfied.
When has anyone ever argued that if you don't respond, you're not respecting someone else's free speech? All you have to do to respect someone's free speech is not try and take it away. I don't care if you don't want to listen. That is a moot point.
And if people don't seem to be all that interested in what you have to say...
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No, 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 no.
Maybe that's not their problem. Maybe it's yours. The hardest part is picking only 5. Catch you next time.
Well, that just about sums up this video, my first video of this nature. If you like it, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments. If you have any criticisms, please also feel free to tell me in the comments. Whether you liked it or hated it, your feedback is appreciated. Thanks, and see you next time.